Do you ever feel like you're just running on a treadmill? You know, you're constantly busy, moving all day, but you never actually get anywhere? Well, today, we're going to get a handle on that feeling. We're going to break down exactly how to stop living in a state of constant emergency and finally start focusing on what truly, truly matters. So let me introduce you to someone. This is Mr. X, and he is the perfect example of this whole problem. I mean, look at his day. His tire was totally worn out, but did he think about it? Nope, not until it went flat on him. He ran out of gas because it just never occurred to him to plan to fill up. His entire life is just reacting to the latest disaster, whether it's big or small. Does any of that sound a little familiar? And of course, this cycle of just reacting leads Mr. X to ask a question that, let's be honest, we've all asked ourselves at some point. Where does all my time go? We're about to find out. And even more importantly, we're going to figure out what to do about it. Okay, so let's really dive into why this happens. The reason so many of us feel like Mr. X, well, it's not a mystery. It's actually a very specific cycle of habits that traps us in this reactive state. This right here, this is the cycle in action. See, it all starts with not looking ahead. And that forces you to only deal with what's screaming for your attention right now. Pretty soon, you feel like you have no control. You're just bouncing from one so-called emergency to the next. And because you never stop to ask what's actually important here, you end up living a life of constant firefighting. So, how do we break this cycle? Well, what's really fascinating is that the entire solution, the whole thing, starts with understanding one simple but incredibly powerful distinction. And here it is. This is the key. Urgent and important are not the same thing. Urgent things, they demand our attention right now, but their impact, it's usually pretty short-lived. We like them, though, because they give us that quick hit of, hey, I did something. Important tasks, on the other hand, well, they're the ones that actually build our future. The results aren't immediate, and that makes them dangerously easy to put off. Just think about it for a second. An angry email pops into your inbox, or a machine on the floor has a minor jam. It feels like it has to be dealt with right now. And you know what? It does. But solving it doesn't fundamentally change your week or your month. It's just a short-term fix. Now, let's contrast that with something that's truly important, like taking the time to properly train a new team member. The payoff isn't right away, right? It takes time and effort. But in the long run, it improves everything, efficiency, morale, and it frees you up to do other things. This is the kind of work that actually moves the needle. Okay, so this is the crucial point. When we get addicted to the rush of putting out urgent fires, we end up paying a very, very high price. There's this dangerous downward spiral that begins the moment we start ignoring what's actually important. And it starts so innocently, doesn't it? That big project, that system update, that difficult conversation you need to have, it's not due today. So we push it. We tell ourselves, I'll get to it later. And this just illustrates what happens next so perfectly. At the start, you're relaxed. Plenty of time, no worries. Then that little ping of anxiety hits. I should probably get started on that. And then before you know it, the deadline is staring you in the face, and you're in a total panic, just hoping you can finish on time. And boom! That's when you hit crisis mode. The thing you ignored, that important task, has now become urgent because its deadline is here. So now it's both important and urgent. You've literally manufactured your own emergency. And living in this crisis cycle, it's just devastating. It creates chaos and nonstop stress. Your whole team gets dragged from one fire to the next, and that absolutely crushes morale. And because there's no time to think, you start making bad decisions. You end up putting in a ton of effort for very, very few meaningful results. So how do we get out of this destructive cycle? That's the big question, right? Well, the good news is there's a simple but really powerful framework for taking back control of your time and your work. First, we have to accept this fundamental truth. Just because you're busy, just because you're constantly moving, does not mean you are making progress. It's about working on the right things, not just working hard on everything. So here it is. This is the antidote to the Mr. X cycle. It's just 3 steps. Step 1, plan ahead. Simple, right? Think about what's coming down the pike so you don't get caught by surprise. Step 2, consciously prioritize what's important. Schedule time for it and then protect that time like it's gold. And finally, step 3, delegate the tasks that are not the best use of your time and focus, even if they seem urgent to someone else. At the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. There are 168 hours in a week for everyone. You can't make more. The only thing you can possibly control is how effectively you use the time you've got. And shifting your focus from the urgent to the important, well, that's the master key to unlocking that effectiveness. So let's make this real. As we wrap up, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is that one truly important thing that you've been putting off just because it doesn't feel urgent right this second? Just think about it. What's the one thing you can decide to start today that will make your tomorrow fundamentally better? Because that's where real progress begins.